Psychology says people who genuinely prefer staying at home over going out are often misunderstood. They get labeled antisocial, depressed, boring, unmotivated, or wasting life. But for a lot of men, the truth is simpler and sharper. When you walk through your front door and the world goes quiet, your nervous system finally stops fighting. That feeling isn't weakness, it's relief. Because what most people call getting out and living is often just noise, performance, and unnecessary friction. And if home feels less like hiding and more like breathing, there's usually a strong psychological reason for it. You don't hate people. You're not scared of life. You're not missing out. You've just learned something most men learn late. Your energy is a budget, and you refuse to spend it on situations that give you nothing back. Your home becomes a sanctuary not because you're fragile, but because you're calibrated. You've built an environment that restores you. You're doing what environmental psychologists describe as shaping your surroundings to recover attention, regulate stress, and protect cognitive bandwidth. In plain language, you've designed a place where your brain works better. And if you've ever been the guy who goes out, smiles, talks, laughs, makes the rounds, then gets home and feels like you ran a marathon for no prize, you already understand the core idea. The world is loud. Your mind is not built to live on high output forever. So if your home is your favorite place, if a quiet night in feels like the real luxury, you likely have several rare traits. Traits that make you harder to understand for people who live off crowds, attention, or constant stimulation. Let's break down 5 of them clearly, deeply, and without making it sound like a diagnosis. Because this isn't about being better than people, it's about knowing yourself. And knowing yourself is one of the most masculine skills there is. Trait 1. You have a low tolerance for performative socializing. There's a kind of social interaction that feels like work, even when it's dressed up as fun. Small talk that goes nowhere. Conversations where everyone is waiting for their turn, not listening. Nights where people compete for attention and call it vibes. Rooms full of laughter that feels slightly forced. Most men can tolerate it. Some even enjoy it. But if you love staying home, there's a good chance you're sensitive to social performance, not in a shy way, in a truth way. You can feel when a room is mostly masks, and that drains you because you're not interested in being on for 3 hours just to be seen, approved of, or included. You don't want to wear a version of yourself that's optimized for strangers. You'd rather have one real conversation than 20 shallow ones. This is why the average group setting can feel exhausting to you. You're not antisocial, you're anti-fake. Your home is the only place where you don't have to perform. You don't have to look like you're having fun. You don't have to talk just to fill silence. You don't have to laugh at things that aren't funny. You don't have to manage everyone's perception. At home, your face can rest. Your mind can rest. Your identity can rest. And that matters more than people realize. Because a lot of men are exhausted not from work, but from pretending. Pretending they're interested. Pretending they're impressed. Pretending they're fine. The man who chooses home is often the man who refuses to keep acting. And here's the part most people don't see. This trait also makes you dangerous in a good way. Because if you don't need to perform, you don't need approval. And when you don't need approval, you stop getting controlled by crowds. That's not isolation, that's freedom. Trait 2. You have high sensory intelligence and a sensitive nervous system. Some men walk into a crowded restaurant and only notice the menu. Other men Walk into the same place and notice everything: the volume of every table, the bright overhead lighting, the chaotic energy, the clinking, the music, the movement, the constant input. Your brain is forced to process. If you love being home, you might be one of the men whose nervous system processes the environment more deeply. This doesn't mean you're weak. It means your brain is tuned. Think of it like this: some engines can run rough fuel without issues. Other engines are high performance. They run better with clean conditions. Your mind might be the second type. So when you avoid crowded places, it's not always fear. It's often optimization. At home, you control the variables: lighting, temperature, noise level, pace, interruptions. You set the conditions where your brain performs best. Most people don't understand how powerful that is because the modern world is basically designed to overstimulate you. It screens, alerts, loud rooms, constant movement, constant demand, and some men can tolerate it until it destroys them slowly. Sleep issues, irritability, low patience, mental fatigue, quick frustration. Meanwhile, the man who goes home and protects his environment is quietly protecting his mind, and your nervous system loves you for it. This is also why you might feel calmer at home, even if nothing exciting is happening. Because calm is not boredom when your mind is busy enough internally. For you, quiet isn't empty. Quiet is clean, and clean mental space is where good decisions come from. Trait 3: you use solitude as a workshop, not a hiding place. Society assumes that if you're home, you're doing nothing. But most men who truly prefer staying home aren't doing nothing. They're doing the kind of things that don't get applause. They're building, they're reading, training, learning a skill, studying, writing, designing, fixing things, organizing their life, planning their next move. They might not post it, they might not talk about it, but they're not stagnant. They're in the workshop. And here's the psychology behind this: deep work requires low interruption. Flow states, the state where you're fully absorbed. Time disappears. Your mind locks in. Don't happen in loud environments. They happen in controlled environments. Your home is where your tools are: your books, your equipment, your routines, your space. You go home because you value depth. And men who value depth often outperform men who chase constant stimulation. This is also why going out can feel like it steals something from you. Not because you hate fun, but because it pulls you out of your rhythm. A lot of men are addicted to interruption. They bounce from plan to plan, person to person, event to event, and wonder why their life never compounds. You're different. You know that progress is quiet. You know that skill takes repetition. You know that building a strong mind takes consistency, not constant novelty. So staying home isn't avoidance, it's incubation. And the men who incubate are the men who eventually break away from average. Trait 4: you have a high peace standard and you protect it like a resource. Most men don't start out loving quiet. They grow into it. After enough chaos, enough drama, enough pointless nights, enough emotional volatility, something clicks. You realize peace is expensive. Drama costs time. Gossip costs respect. Social circles that thrive on dysfunction cost your focus. People who want access to you but don't add value cost your energy. So you raise your standard. You stop paying that price. Staying home becomes a physical boundary against chaos because you've seen how quickly one harmless night out becomes a waste of money, a hangover, a bad decision, a pointless argument, a week of low energy, a sense of regret you can't fully explain. You're not old. You're not boring. You're selective. You've discovered something many men never learn. The ability to be at peace is a form of power, and it changes how you live. You'd rather have a quiet evening with a book, a workout, a movie that actually relaxes you, a clean house, a partner who understands the value of calm, a pet, a project, a plan, because your brain isn't starving for stimulation. It's starving for recovery. And once you start protecting peace, you start noticing something. People who thrive on chaos don't understand you. They'll call you boring because your life doesn't provide them entertainment. They'll call you distant because you don't respond instantly. They'll call you antisocial because you don't attend everything. But none of those labels matter when your life becomes lighter. Here's a line every man needs to understand. Peace looks like boredom to people who are addicted to intensity. If your nervous system has been trained on stress, calm feels unfamiliar. To them, you look empty. To you, you feel free. Trait 5, you're internally self sufficient, and that makes you rare. This is the trait that sits underneath all the others. If you genuinely love being home, you might have something many people never develop: internal sufficiency, meaning you don't need external noise to feel alive. You don't need constant social validation to feel real. You don't need a crowd to feel important. You don't need to be out to feel like your life has meaning. You can sit in your own space and feel full, and that is rare because the modern world trains people to escape themselves, to fill every silence, to chase constant stimulation, to keep moving so they never have to confront what they feel. But a man who enjoys being home usually has this ability. He can be alone without collapsing. That doesn't mean he never gets lonely. It means loneliness doesn't own him. He knows how to regulate his emotions without outsourcing them to parties, attention, casual relationships, constant social contact, random activity for the sake of doing something. This is why home feels like a sanctuary, not because you're hiding from life, because you've built a life you don't need to run from. A lot of men go out because they can't sit with themselves. You go home because you can. And this is where the misunderstanding happens. People assume that if you're not constantly seeking experiences, you're missing out. But the truth is, many men who prefer home aren't missing out. They're opting out of pointless comparison, shallow attention, low quality connection, social debt, wasted weekends, fake fun, and opting into clarity, restoration, mastery, peace, depth, real enjoyment. That's not depression, that's discernment. Now, there's one important nuance we need to mention because this needs to be honest, not just motivational. When staying home is healthy and when it becomes avoidance. Choosing home is powerful when it's a choice. When you stay home because you like your life, because you're building, because you value quiet, because you recover better, because your environment supports your mind. That's strength. But if you're staying home because you feel fear every time you think about going out, because anxiety spikes, because you're avoiding all connection, because you feel trapped in isolation, then it may not be preference. It may be a signal that something needs attention. And there's no shame in that. A strong man doesn't ignore signals. He reads them and responds. So if your home is a sanctuary, good. If your home has become a cage, take it seriously. The goal isn't to become a hermit. The goal is to live deliberately. And deliberate men are the ones who win long term. The 5 signs you're not wasting life, you're building it. Let's summarize what this really means. If you prefer staying home, you likely reject social performance and crave real interaction. Have a nervous system that processes stimulation deeply. Use solitude for craft, learning, and focused growth. Protect peace because you understand the cost of chaos. Feel internally sufficient without needing the world's attention. That combination creates a man who is hard to influence, hard to distract, and hard to control. And yes, some people will misunderstand you. Let them. Because the average man is trained to chase noise. The disciplined man builds in quiet. Practical upgrades. How to make your home preference a weapon, not a weakness. If you're going to be a home based man, do it with purpose. Here are simple ways to sharpen it. 1. Turn your home into a base, not a bunker. Make it a place that supports your body and mind. Clean space, good lighting, organized tools, training area, or routine corner, minimal clutter. A messy sanctuary becomes mental drag. 2. Keep your social life intentional, not frequent. You don't need more people. You need better connection. Choose 1 or 2 solid friends, occasional, high quality gatherings, conversations that build, not drain. 3. Replace going out with building up. Every time you stay home, invest it. Train, learn, read, create, plan, recover. If you do nothing, you'll feel stuck. If you build, you'll feel powerful. 4. Protect your peace like you protect your money. Say no faster. Leave sooner. Stop negotiating with people who drain you. Peace compounds like wealth. 5. Don't let comfort become stagnation. Home can restore you, but it can also soften you if you never challenge yourself. So keep a standard. Physical discomfort through training. Mental discomfort through learning. Discipline through routine. Comfort is good when it's earned, not when it becomes your default. Closing. So if your favorite place is home, you're not broken. You're calibrated. You're the kind of man who understands that the loudest life is not always the fullest life. That real strength isn't how many rooms you enter. It's whether you can sit alone in your own space and still feel complete. And in a world addicted to noise, a man who chooses depth looks rare. If this hit you, leave a comment with one word: sanctuary. And if you want more psychology-backed breakdowns like this, self-sufficiency, calm confidence, boundaries, and masculine focus, subscribe.